So we'll see. I ran out of time last time. Take your ruler and make a horizon line in the center of your paper, remembering that the horizon line separates the sky, which is up here, from the land, which is down here. And your vanishing point we're going to put in the center for right now, but in reality it can be anywhere on this horizon line. But we put it in the middle so you understand how things work all the way around it. Is everybody there? Then you need to hurry up. Using your ruler, and I want you to put these where I put them in about the same size. You're going to draw a box that rests right on the horizon line. Use your ruler, please. If you have trouble holding your ruler down, sometimes it helps if you spread your hand apart and hold it down so it doesn't slip. I'm going to make a box that crosses over the horizon line. And I'm going to put a box over here in the left corner. I do not want it right under the point. I want it way over here in the left. Remember, if you have a hard time with your ruler, spread your fingers out to hold it down so it doesn't slip. And you wouldn't see the horizon line in this box, so you would need to erase it. There's my 3 boxes. I'll give you a couple minutes to get them down. Okay, now, bless you. The one that rests right on the horizon line, if I try to take this corner to the vanishing point, it draws through the shape. That means it's an invisible corner. The bottom 2 corners are already connected to the vanishing point because it's the horizon line. So there's only one corner that will go. Use your vanishing point and only go about halfway so you don't have to erase a whole lot. This is called a distance line. A line that goes to the vanishing point is a distance line. When you're drawing in one-point perspective, your ruler only has 3 choices. Straight up and down, which is vertical, straight across, which is horizontal, or straight to the vanishing point, which is distance. So your ruler either has to be straight up and down, straight across, or exactly to the point. And if it's not any of those, that means it's wrong. Okay? Now, to finish this, we need a vertical line parallel to the end of your paper, and you're going to come straight down and hit the horizon line and stop. For the box that goes across the horizon line, these 2 corners would draw through the shape, which means they're invisible corners. But the other 2 will go toward the point. And the whole purpose of this lesson is using that point. So you need to make sure that you're using it correctly. And make sure your ruler is parallel with the end of your paper when you connect your distance lines. And then you would erase the horizon line that's in here because you wouldn't be able to see it. Make sure that this box is not directly under the vanishing point. If it is, you need to erase it and move it over. It needs to be over in the corner. Excuse me. There are 3 corners that go toward the vanishing point. The top left, the top right, and the bottom right. This one would draw through the shape, which makes it an invisible corner. And this is where most 6th graders go wrong. The top 2 distance lines have to be connected by a horizontal, which means it needs to be parallel to the bottom or top of your paper, straight across. And I'm going to connect the top 2 distance lines. At the intersection where those 2 meet, I need a vertical, which means my ruler has to be parallel with the sides of my paper. And I'm going to connect my next 2 distance lines. Now if your building looks like it's falling over, it means your horizontals and verticals aren't straight. Now can you picture those as buildings instead of boxes? Why didn't I draw a box here? Ethan? There's a little more than that. Chloe? It would make the building floating in the air. And as of right now, we don't see that. Buildings are too heavy to float in the air. So when you draw your city, you have to either rest on the horizon line, come across it, or come below it. Anything you draw up here is floating. Does everybody have their boxes? Okay. Now, to make a box that looks like it goes behind a box, I'm going to start with my flat shape, and I'm going to make it look like it drops down behind this building. Flat shape, make it look like it stops at this building. Don't draw into the building. I can't see the bottom 2 corners, and this would draw through the shape. So there's only 1 corner that would go toward the vanishing point. And then I need a vertical, which means my ruler has to be parallel with the edge of the paper. And you're going to come down, and if you hit this building, you're going to stop. And if you don't hit the building, you'll stop at the horizon line. Are you ready for the next part? Get ready then. The next step is going to be windows and doors. To make a window or door on the sides that are going toward the point, you start with a vertical line, and you take the top and bottom of that line toward the vanishing point. And then another vertical. make a door is the same as a window, except it connects to the bottom. Top goes toward the vanishing point, and the side of the door is vertical. However, the flat shapes that we started with don't go by the vanishing point. I want you to draw a garage door on the end of this one. And you don't use the point. You draw what I call straight on. You always start with a vertical, a straight up and down line, and then you take the ends toward the vanishing point without going off the side of the building. Vertical, and then you're going to be vertical back here. I'll give you a minute to catch up, and then we're going to move on. Is everybody finished? Okay, sidewalks. The first thing you need is a horizontal line that's longer than the corners of the building. And you decide how thick you want your sidewalk to be. But you need a horizontal that's parallel with the bottom of the paper, and it needs to go past this corner and past that corner. And this line has to be long enough so that if I line it up with my vanishing point and draw and stop when I hit the building, that it looks like it wraps around the building. Bless you. This is a vanishing point line, and this is the line that almost everybody gets wrong when they do their drawing test. That one right there goes to the vanishing point. On the other side, it also goes toward the vanishing point just past the back corner. And this is a vanishing point line. So this one's horizontal, which means that this one at the other end needs to be horizontal until I hit the building and then stop. So we have horizontal, horizontal, vanishing point, vanishing point. And we do the same thing over here. We're going to make a line that's longer than the corners, but because we're closer to the horizon line, this line has to be really long, because I need to be able to connect it to the vanishing point and make it look like it goes behind the building. So if yours isn't long enough and hits the front of the building, you have to make it long until it'll go the right way. Straight down the front of the building to the vanishing point. This one's horizontal, so the end has to be horizontal. This is vanishing point. This is another line that everybody misses. And this line is vanishing point. I'm writing the VPs on there because when you do your test, you can look at your drawing notes. And if you don't remember which one goes to the vanishing point, If you write VP on there, you'll know. Does that make sense? Now, the top two buildings that are resting on the horizon line, you cannot see the sidewalks. Up here, Ken, right here. Move now, please. Consider that as your warning, and if you have a warning, it'll be an infraction. I'm tired of seeing you talk back there. Now, the cracks in the sidewalk. On this end of the building and this end of the building, they go by the vanishing point. And this is another part where everybody gets them wrong, because they try to draw them straight up and down like vertical lines, but they're not. They're distance lines, and they're about the same distance apart, but you don't have to measure, you can just sort of eyeball it. Same thing on this end. Vanishing point, vanishing point, vanishing point, vanishing point, vanishing point. Most people put straight up and down lines here, and all of these have to go to the vanishing point. This will be your first one, so it's an official warning. Now the lines along the sides have to be horizontal lines, which means that your ruler has to be as straight as the bottom and top of your paper. And they have to be bigger toward you, and as they go back, they're going to get closer together, which is going to make them look smaller. And this is where a lot of sixth graders mess up, because they turn their ruler this way, and that makes you look like your sidewalk is in an earthquake. So it has to be straight every time, parallel to the bottom of your paper. As they get closer together as they go back, that helps the illusion of depth. Things that are coming toward you get bigger and farther apart. Things going away from you toward the vanishing point get smaller and closer together. Bless you. Same is true here. Has to be straight across. Now if your sidewalk looks like it's leaning, that means your lines aren't straight. So on the long sides, it's horizontal lines. On the ends, it's vanishing point lines. I'll give you a minute to catch up. Okay, roads. Roads either have to come from the vanishing point or they have to be horizontal. So I'm going to line my ruler up with the end of my sidewalk. And I'm going to draw a line that goes off the paper. And then I'm going to line up with the bottom of the other sidewalk and I'm going to draw off the paper. And both of those are distance lines. Okay? Now, if I want an intersection, that would be horizontal. And then you would erase the line right there so it looks like you can drive down the road and turn. If you wanted one here, so it either has to be a distance line or it has to be a horizontal line. Distance or horizontal. Now, a lot of you, when you wanted to make a corner back here, you did vertical lines, and that's not correct. You have to use your vanishing point. And the top line has to be longer than the bottom line. And so you take it and line it up with the vanishing point, and line it up with the vanishing point, and that's how you turn a corner, is with vanishing point lines. So you're driving down the road, turn left and turn left again, and right here's the corner. It is not vertical lines. They have to be distance lines or horizontal lines to make roads. Those are the only choices you have. Are you doing all this? It's not an option. You should be doing everything I'm doing. Now, a couple of things you should know. You know how on the top of buildings there's ledges, so when you're standing on top of a building you don't accidentally fall off? There's like a little built-up wall. At this intersection, you need a tiny, tiny vertical line, as deep as your ledge is going to be. Right here. A straight up and down line. And then you need a horizontal that intersects with the bottom of that line, and you're going to draw toward the right until you hit the building, and then you're going to stop. And then you're going to line up the same little short vertical line to the vanishing point and draw down until you hit the building and stop. So vertical, horizontal, vanishing point. And when you paint the lines in roads, you can't just draw one line. If you've ever walked on a road, those painted lines are about that thick when they're laying on the road. They're pretty wide. So what I do is I try to look and see where the middle of the road is, and I put two little dots. And then I connect those dots with the vanishing point and go off the page. Make a painted line on the road. If I want it to be a broken line so that you can pass people, I keep my ruler horizontal and I try to make a little part that's about as wide as my eraser, and then I erase that part. Keep your ruler horizontal. And then erase the part in between. And that's how you would do a broken line. It's either horizontal or to the vanishing point. So when you do your drawing test, if you draw lines that are just like one pencil lead thick, I'm going to count them wrong because they're wide and they're painted. The hardest thing for 6th graders is to keep their lines straight. Verticals have to be straight up and down. Horizontals have to be straight across. And distance lines have to go to the vanishing point. So if you were to do a broken line, these little things have to be horizontal. If you do them diagonal, it'll look like your lines are slanting on the road. If you draw a building over this point, let's say there's a building in the background. If it's directly over the vanishing point, I would not see either side or the top. Are you guys caught up? Okay, because I'm ready to go on. Remember the garage door we made down here? I'm going to show you how to make it look like you can drive through it like a car wash. See this intersection right there? I'm going to line that intersection up with a vanishing point. But I'm going to start here at the door and go out this way. Lined up to the vanishing point. Start on the inside of the door and go out. And then the intersection over here lined up with the vanishing point and go out. And if you really want to make it look like you can drive straight through, you would erase the sidewalk right there. See? Looks like you can drive through it. So you could put a little end of a car in there, make it look like there's a car. And that little one thing, oh, you don't use that anymore now. It's like self-serve, isn't it? Or you could draw that big bushy thing that goes over your car. Parking lot lines. If you put parking lot lines along here, they're going to be just like your sidewalk. I'm going to draw a light line here. And I am going to make them look like they're wide so that they're painted. I'm going to put little dots here so I can do the painted lines. And then I'm going to take those to the vanishing point and stop when I hit the sidewalk. And then I would erase the line down here that separates. This is a horizontal at the end of every painted line. So you could drive down the road and you could pull into one of these parking lot lines. They're just like the sidewalk cracks, except I made them wide like they're painted. If you wanted a parking lot behind here, though, it's different. You would need to make light guidelines in rows. And when you're making parking lot lines this way, you have to realize that you need to make them, one's going to be parking lot lines and one's going to be blank so you can drive into it. Parking lot lines, blank. And they're just like